3-2, it would finish to Liverpool, an important win for them, their 10th win in 12 Premier League games this season, just one draw and one loss, and this is how it's looking in the table right now, 8 points above second place, Manchester City. Some very enthusiastic fans in the stands today. We could hear chants of Liverpool are going to win the league. I don't know if you guys heard that, because I definitely did, Stevie, but what did you make of this performance today?
Do you know, they deserved to win, they were the better side. But it certainly wasn't scripted this way. You know, at 1-0, up until the penalty, I thought the game was over. I couldn't see how Southampton were going to hurt Liverpool at all. It's a poor challenge from Robertson. I think it's outside the box, but the penalty's given, and according to the way the rules are set...
They say there's no evidence that the contact stopped once they moved into the box.
Right, and listen, we all know the rules before we started. So it's kind of... For me to start arguing about what the rules should be, we know what the rules are before we started, and if ref gives a penalty and they get the penalty, then that's what you've got to take it. But to go 2-1 down, I said when we saw the highlight, the defending was horrendous, and I think you've only got to look back to the last international break when Liverpool came back, how poor they were at home against Forest, and they defended similar then. And previous to that and after that, they've been solid. So I'm going to put it down to the international break with the way they defended, particularly on that second goal, because as I said, there was no composure. It was just like a bunch of kids with their eye on the ball chasing it. I mean, the goals, this is such a strange game. Liverpool got 3 goals, and basically the 3 goals were really down to horrendous mistakes by Southampton. Now, they did have a load of half chances, Liverpool, but the actual goals they got, Southampton absolutely could have avoided them. So they deserved to win. They were the better team, but it was just a crazy way to do it. And the only thing that mattered was getting the win, right?
Absolutely. And I know this is a Liverpool-centric conversation, and rightfully so. But you cannot evaluate and analyze this game without strengthening the point that Stevie just made about Southampton. Yeah. I go back to the first goal by Liverpool. The goalkeeper has the ball in his hands, McCarthy. He has the ball in his hands. And he has Harwood Bellis next to him, encouraging him to play the ball, the short ball, to a player who has his back to the rest of the field. Into pressure, into incoming pressure from Liverpool. And I know that this is the way that Southampton wants to play. Well, you should change it. Because there are moments in which you cannot do this. So that's gift number 1. McCarthy in the second goal is gift number 2. I have no idea what kind of angle he takes on this ball and allows then Liverpool a way back into the game that, quite frankly, at that point seemed like, oh, I don't know, because it's a bunch of half chances, not really clear opportunities. And the penalty, the handball. I don't know if you noticed this, Stevie, but when you're watching the game, Sugawara, he obviously hits the ball with his arm, and as he's trying to plead his innocence, he's saying, it hit me right here. Yeah. It hit me right here. Sugawara, this is your arm. This is a handball right there. And he's like, yeah, here. Well, there is a handball. So it's gifts that Liverpool received today, and to their credit, they took advantage of those gifts. And so to your point, and the larger picture of Liverpool this season, what matters is that this was 3 points, and it continues to create separation between them and the rest. How they got there is the part in which Arne Slot and this team have to be able to figure out that they have to be better defensively in moments of transition, and offensively how to break teams down that have so many numbers behind the ball.
We're going to bring up the title odds. Obviously, it's an 8-point difference between Liverpool and Manchester City. I want to get your thoughts on how things are in your eyes right now, Stevie, and whether you think that part of today, Liverpool did have that anxiety of knowing a win today means we're putting this much distance between ourselves and City.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling that they're going on the field thinking like that, to be honest with you. However, I think they'll be thinking about that very thing next week against Manchester City. Because in everybody's eyes, if they beat Manchester City, you'll hear them all coming out the woodwork saying the title's over.
Will you say that?
Absolutely not. I was part of a team that won the title, having been 11 points behind with 13 games to go against an Everton side who at the time were as good as anybody in Europe. So, no, if Liverpool beat City next week, it is a huge result. But it's not title defining. Because I've seen it happen before where it can disappear. So, yeah, they're in an incredible position. They absolutely deserve to be favourites. They are favourites. I mean, to have an 8-point gap after 11, 12 games, then it's yours to lose. I mean, it is Liverpool's to lose, having been given an 8-point start from City and 9 from Arsenal.
Well, here's definitely one reason to keep Dan and the crew around when we take a look at the Premier League standings and the difference between Liverpool and Manchester City, because Dan, of course, is with a former Manchester City player and a former Liverpool player. So, Dan, it would be great to know what the guys think about the title odds.
Yes, Kate, very much a contrast of emotions, which I'm enjoying very much, as you can imagine, because Nedum hasn't been particularly happy over the last 24 hours, given what happened against City, with City against Spurs.
So, to be honest, I'm quite happy because Sunderland, my old team, you know, they're second in the Championship, so they'll be in the Premier League next season. So, you know, I can focus on that. There's nothing else to worry about in my former.
All right, Captain Distractor. Luis, like Ali broke it down brilliantly. Southampton absolutely gifted Liverpool the win today, but they took it. They are now very much 8 points in lead. Hey, playing City again next week.
You're enjoying this, aren't you?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I think it's we were talking today about Real Madrid going here to Leganés and winning a point, because no one will remember this game. But at the end of the season, these are the points that are going to give you the trophy. So it was a scrappy one, maybe not the best performance of Liverpool, not at least in the first 45. And it's not the first one. I think that might be the first concern, that Liverpool has to make comebacks quite often because they don't start well, but in the end managed to get the result, and that's where I think that the analyst is getting. Listen, guys, keep the momentum, keep going as long as possible, because in the same way that the Manchester City had this rough path, very, very bad one, Liverpool can go through that one right after the Christmas, and then that gap that you are creating right now is the one that is going to allow you to arrive to the last games of the season with feeling favourites and probably getting the trophy.
Will Manchester City ever win a game again?
Oh, it's a good question, you know. It's a good question. I think if the answer was yes, I'd bet on that. I think, for me, I don't have many things in common with this current Man City side, but one thing I have in common is I have lost 5 games in a row before.
Okay.
And it is somewhat of a crisis. And when you think about the quality that they have, it's not even the fact that, you know, they're out of form. It's the fact that they can't get a point from some of these games, especially in times when they've had, say, a winning position like they've had against Brighton, like they had against, I think it was Sporting Lisbon as well in the Champions League. And it was hugely disappointing. And as we look at where they're at right now, I think in some ways it's made worse because of the fact that Liverpool have been so close to perfect. I want to say perfect, I mean their outcomes, not necessarily their performances, because every game is so different in itself, but they are relentless. The fact that now it's Liverpool and the pack says a lot about how good they've been and how indifferent some of the other sides have been as well. And I think it's disappointing from the City standpoint, because they go to Anfield, a place where historically they don't get results, knowing that they can't afford to lose at a time when they're playing the worst football that they've probably played in the last 4 or 5 years. And that is going to be a very, very tough thing for them, and they arrive as a significant underdog next week. But maybe in some ways, that plays into them potentially finding a result.
Right, here's your problem. You know, we talked about no Rodri. Oh, there's no cover of the defence. Everyone's playing on one leg if they're in defence. Defence was fine yesterday with regards to fitness.
Yeah, the defending was not, however, yeah.
That was still really poor.
Yeah.
And at the other end, you can't even score goals anymore.
You say you like I was playing. Can you calm down, please?
No, I'm just saying.
I'm working for ESPN here, not Manchester City. It's a valid point. It's a valid point. And they are squandering chances.
Why not? What's going on?
Somebody that never scored many goals, you shouldn't be asking me.
Well,
but
someone who could defend at least half.
Well, I've defended like they did yesterday as well, to be honest. But I think there's something about the style of play at the moment whereby a lot of the goals they concede are coming in transition on things like quick breaks, with people being direct runners with the ball, runners without the ball. And I think for City to be that open, it fundamentally goes against what they've been sort of holding on to as a pillar of their success across many years. Because some people say, you know, the defence hasn't been the best for the years that they've won the league title. But if you look at the defensive record, it's always first or second best. But now, the chances that they're giving up, the way that they're being punished, the fact that, you know, if they wanted to win that game yesterday, they'd need to score 4 goals.
5 goals.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah. I didn't get that last notification.
4-0, so I think 5-4.
5-4, yeah. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me.
Yeah.
Like, fundamentally, I think Guardiola and the players need to come together and create a different sort of plan for this moment. With Rodri being out, with Kovacic being out, with other players not being at their best, they have to change their style if they want to be competitive. And going into that game next week, if they were to lose to Liverpool and it's 11 points, as Stevie said, it's not all said and done, but you'd feel more confident in Man City if they were playing better football right now. And at the moment, they don't have that. So if they lose that game, it's a case of, they're going to have to find a different objective because, for chasing down that team in first, like by the end of next week, they could be in 4th or 5th. Just let that sink in.
Wow, let that sink in.
It's a crisis. It's a crisis.
I think it is. I think
It's a crisis.